My name is Mike Tagliapietra. I'm a member of the U.S. Paralympic team. I shoot pistol for Team USA, 3 different events, 10-meter air pistol, 25-meter sport pistol, and 50-meter free pistol. How I got to this point, August 2nd of 2003. I was in rural Wisconsin, very small area, and I fell asleep at the wheel. I shot across the eastbound lane of the highway, and my vehicle went off the road, flipped 4 or 5 times. I fractured T5 and T6 vertebrae, and I severed my spinal cord at T4 level. My back was fused. I had to go through occupational therapy and physical therapy. As I was laying in the hospital, kind of starting to realize how severe these injuries were and how it's going to change my life, I was a very angry guy. Living back home with my parents was a big adjustment for me. The doors are narrow, the bathrooms are small, there's no elevators, there's steps, and people have a tendency to look at you a little bit differently now that I'm in a wheelchair. I remember telling my friends, it's like, I just do not want to live life like this. I was always a very active guy previously, but I just kind of, for a period of time, I just kind of gave up on that. I didn't, I'm in a wheelchair, what am I going to do? I had support from family and friends to kind of get me through that period of depression, but more importantly, I think the drive and the desire inside, the determination inside, that also helped me get through that period of time and start enjoying life again. My friend Becky, she got me involved in racing a couple years after my accident. In 2006, I bought my first hand cycle, and I started training for my first race down in Milwaukee, which was a short 5K. It was a disaster, absolute disaster, but a great experience to learn from. I was hooked on the racing thing, and I decided in January of 2009 to move from Wisconsin down to Mesa, Arizona. So I started racing with the Mesa Disabled Track Team. They loaned me a racing wheelchair to get started. Probably over the next 2 years did 30 road races, so I was definitely hooked on that. It was a lot of fun. I came to the realization, as much as I love those sports, that if I want to be a Paralympian, I was too old and slow to do it in those sports. So I looked on the Paralympic website, and I found that shooting was one sport that is in the Paralympic Games. So I thought I would give that a try. Phoenix Rod and Gun Club was one of the ranges locally that had a 10-meter event and 25-meter event. I didn't even have an air pistol of my own to start using, and I contacted them, and they were nice enough to loan me a used air pistol to get started. And I trained shooting air pistol 4 or 5 days a week. I called the coach of the Paralympic team, and he invited me down to the training center. We had a long discussion, and he said, if you move here to Colorado Springs, you can train at the Olympic Training Center. I will loan you this $2,000 air pistol to get started with. 7 months after I moved here in June of 2013, at US Nationals, my coach gave me the Team USA jacket. You pull that jacket on, it's got USA across the back. It's a pretty meaningful time for me. So I've been at the Olympic Training Center ever since that time. Went down to Rio in September of 2016 to represent Team USA in the Paralympic Games. When you have a spinal cord injury and you're in a wheelchair, shoulder preservation is extremely important. I have to break my chair down manually when I get in my car, so I transfer into my car, I take the wheels off, I put the wheels behind me, and then I pick the frame of the chair up and I put it on the passenger seat. My first chair was massive. It was 35 pounds. My second chair was a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter. I had that for almost 7 years. In 2014, I had to have surgery on my right rotator cuff. So at an event in Germany, I met this guy that was wheeling around in this really nice carbon fiber chair. I asked him about it, I asked him where he got it, and I started doing research on that. I found out just through an internet search about the Travis Roy Foundation. I read up on it. I had applied for the grant, and I found out after I got back that I had received a grant from the Travis Roy Foundation. So I put that towards the new carbon fiber chair, which, as it sits with my cushion and back and everything on it, is 16.5 pounds. It's less than half the weight of my first chair, so much easier on my shoulders. The small things like that when I was able-bodied I would have never even thought about. It's small things that can make a big difference in somebody's life, like my life, living life in a wheelchair. It's a little thing like that, but it's actually a big thing. I want to thank the Travis Roy Foundation for giving me the grant and allowing me to buy the new lightweight wheelchair. It made a big difference for me, and it's going to help me to remain active. hopefully the rest of my life.